and evil can we do today to the people? You know, I mean, there may be some psychopaths and some sadistic people out there, but I think that it's more like a system that reinforces itself, and that's why I would refrain from pointing the finger at that particular man, woman, saying, like I hear a lot of times saying, that particular entrepreneur, that banker, that central banker, that X, Y, Z, they're evil people, they are scum, they should be sent to jail. I would personally focus more on the system that has generated, that has induced this kind of behavior, because I think this is a learned behavior of merciless competition that fosters basically a total lack of empathy and considerations for the consequences of one's actions.
On the other side of that slightly, there's a good book by a guy called Mike Cross, and it's called Freedom from Conscience, and he's done some interviews. Again, anyone listening, you can find most of this stuff free on YouTube. In fact, nearly most of the information we're talking about, you can find most of it for free. That's true, isn't it? He does say that the system, which again we're saying the system has already been in place for a long time, it does benefit people who don't have empathy. So there will be a certain point, and I argue with people all the time about when Barack Obama came in, or when anyone comes into office, how much do they know already, or how much are they metaphorically, this is Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks tells this joke, and he's being metaphorical, that they go into a smoky room, they go into a basement, and they're shown, there's a Pruder film, which is the film made of the JFK assassination. They're shown a completely different angle, which shows that the shot came from the grassy knoll, 100%. They turn off the projector and they say, any questions? As if to say, we're in control, don't even think about questioning, or, something might happen. I think that system is in place, but I think there must come a point where either there's one of two scenarios for me, like someone rises through the political ranks and appears to being groomed/chosen to be the president. Is there a point where he can get out, and then they'll say, well, we'll take care of your family, you're going to have a wonderful life materially, if you just carry on what you're doing, and here's what we'd like you to do in a roundabout way. I think there's a choice to be made. Now in England, Tony Blair would be the perfect person to talk about, because Tony Blair, when he came in 1997, didn't really seem to be, what's the word? I don't know, it just seemed to be a kind of quite chubby-faced, youthful-sounding...
Sort of like, almost spontaneous in a way, not artificially constructed, like a lot of politicians.
He had a good message. Nowadays. I mean, we can get on to...
He looked genuine, but maybe that's a good example of someone who looked genuine, maybe was genuine, and got quickly corrupted by the system. If you want to survive and thrive, you have to play ball, to play by the rules set by the financiers.
That's
by
right.
International finance.
Yeah, of course. Again, talking to the layman, I don't think the layman, the ordinary man on the street, knows how political campaigns are funded. That's another thing. Obama's campaign was officially funded by the people. I know. And there's a documentary called By the People, and I think it's basically about his campaign. Now you can check it out. I don't know the exact names of all the companies, but Goldman Sachs clearly had a lot to do with it.
Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan,
AIG,
Google,
UBS.
What else? Who else? I think these are all the major banks, Bank of America, Citibank, Goldman, they're all up there, and even Lehman at the time, they were still in business.
Lehman Brothers.
And the funny thing is that, and you can obviously check all this on the internet, but if you look at the real backers, that the big money is coming from these mostly banking institutions and some corporations and some universities as well. I think they funded Obama. I don't remember which one, but one of the big bakers was in university. And actually all these big financial players they funded both candidates. If you look at
Yes.
if you look at the list, you see that actually the big banks funded both horses, so they couldn't really lose the race, because
Exactly.
whether it's Obama or it's McCain, we always win.
Or Romney.
Or Romney. That was in the time where.
And I mean, you know, let's think about it. Even if someone who would say, "I don't believe what you're saying," think about it. Why would a corporation not want to be involved?
Yeah.
Really, if you think about it, why wouldn't a big corporation want to be involved in the political system?
In a way, the way the system
yeah.
is working. The best investment for a corporation is, to buy a politician or a congressman through law, or a lobbyist in this way that will obviously get the politicians on your side.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Obama was not funded by the people. Probably he received.
He received some funding.
Maybe even a lot of money. How do we know?
Yes.
But the big funders were somebody else. And these are those who pulled the strings of his decisions, like all presidents before and after him, obviously.
Yeah. And like I say, think about it logically. All these industrialists, the richest people in the world, effectively. Why would they not want to be involved? What's the point of having all that power and having no real influence? I think, like I say, people really need to look at that film, The Corporation, because it lays it out quite well. And
specifically on Obama, I can recommend a documentary called "Lifting the Veil," made by Scott Noble, a Canadian Metanoia Films, a Canadian filmmaker, a very good one. Explaining actually who Obama stands for, really.
Can I ask you just to kind of in a nutshell, what does the economic crisis of 2008, what do most people think it is in your opinion, and what are they not seeing, or what are they not understanding? And I'm asking you that not because it's an interview or anything, but because economics is not my strong point, I've got to be honest. I understand the basic mechanisms, and we should definitely talk about the creation of money, because that's such a fundamental. But what do you think? What do most people think the economic crisis was about?
Well, I'm not strong in economics either, but I've been reading some material quite a lot actually in the last 4 or 5 years, especially since the crisis started. And so obviously I formed an opinion which is always subject to change, obviously. But as far as I can tell, this so-called economic crisis is, it all started with the Lehman Brothers going down, etc. But I think that only revealed the true face of a system that is structurally unsustainable, as it is based on a pile of debt that compounds exponentially. It is subject to imperative of growth, and it is strictly connected with this madness of GDP. That's why everybody's so obsessed, the economists, the politicians, with this religion of GDP growth. The GDP is not growing. What can we do to grow the GDP? Well, let me just say something about this bloody GDP in the first place, because GDP is yet another mark of sickness, the sickness and the pathology that affects this society. Because what does GDP measure? Well, GDP is an indicator of economic activity. It doesn't have any connection whatsoever with the well-being of people. It just tells how much stuff we exchange, basically, how many goods are shipped from the other side of the world to Europe and vice versa. And then, as you probably know, all sorts of bad things can have a positive impact on GDP. Wars, bombs dropped, more people getting sick, road accidents, you name it. All these things that are probably not very desirable. Well, they do have a positive impact on GDP, and they make it grow. Yeah. So in a way, this GDP obsession is very much connected with the way money is created and is channeled into the economic system.
Yeah.